What's up, everybody? Hugo Infinity back at it again, the book reviews. Now, it's been a while since I've dropped a video. There's so much going on in the world right now, so much going on in my life, but I was walking through Walmart the other day. I see this green book with Suzanne Collins' name on it, and I'm like, uh-oh, is it a Hunger Games book? And it was. And I'm a huge fan of the Hunger Games series. It's been a long time since I've read this series. It's been a while since I watched the movies. So the perspective this book added was refreshing because I didn't have to remember too much about the original series. It takes place at the 10th annual Hunger Games, and it's about President Snow when he's younger, and he's a mentor in the Hunger Games. Now, overall, I'm gonna give a brief non-spoiler review, and then I'm gonna go into the book and give all the spoilers. I'm gonna summarize it for you and tell you everything that happens in case y'all either already read it or you don't plan on reading it at all and just kind of want the summary. But for those of you that do plan on reading it, I do recommend the book. I enjoyed it. I've seen a lot of people kind of upset that it was about President Snow because they're like, why do we want to know more about this character? It could have been about anybody else. But I feel like we needed this perspective because it shows, the capital view of the Hunger Games, and it gives a dose of reality. It's for a more mature audience, and it shows that, although we may not agree with the capital or how they treat the districts in the Hunger Games, it's a very valid perspective. People, they're going to have this mindset, and it's going to show this outlook. And I enjoyed it. I thought it added that duality to the series, to where you have the districts and now you have the capital. So I give this book a 6.5 because I did not like the ending. I didn't. It happened so fast. Like the last few chapters, it builds up a lot, and then the last few pages is when everything just kind of hits at once, and it gave me whiplash. I was just like, wait, what? And it took me a while to even just process some of the things that happened towards the end. And also, it just, I don't know. I didn't have too many high expectations for the book, so I wasn't really too disappointed. There were just certain things that I felt could have been executed a bit better. Well, maybe it's, just my personal opinion on some of the relationships in the story. But overall, it's a good book. It's worth the read. If you love the Hunger Games series and you love Suzanne Collins' writing style, you'll enjoy the book. It's more like a villain origin story. But it's kind of refreshing to be, set in a different place and time than the original series. Because you don't have to really remember much. This book kind of explains itself, so that's what I enjoyed about it. Now, if you plan on reading the book, do not keep watching the video. Go out, get the book, and then probably come back and watch the rest of this, because I'm about to get into all the spoilers. I'm about to let you know everything that goes down in this book, because it is kind of wild. Alright, so you have been warned. Now, boom, this book, it's in 3 parts, right? It's like before, during, and after the Hunger Games, basically. So before the Hunger Games, it talks about Coriolanus Snow, how he's growing up, and talks about how his family's broke. Like they in the capital, but they poor. They're eating cabbage soup. They're struggling. Like he's trying to maintain that level of respect. Like, hey, I'm still someone from the capital. He's still trying to act bougie even though he broke. So it's kind of interesting seeing that. And it shows just how much, your reputation means in the capital. Like, people are still kind of ruthless to each other there, but it also shows how the war affected them too, because, we see the districts all torn up after the war. We don't realize that the capital, they had to, fight it out over there too. And some of them, just didn't make it. Like, let's say, I think Snow's father had a ammunitions factory or warehouse in District 13. District 13 gets blown up, so now no money coming in. And then, so anyways, it starts off about him, going to school with his friends, regular Douglas, normal lifestyle. And it talks about how his school's starting this new program because they're trying to get more viewers for the Hunger Games. This is early on, when the Hunger Games is just an arena, like not like the ones in the old series where it's like everything's changing. You have all these elements, cameras following everybody. No, it's like, here's a stadium, here's a camera, one camera for the whole thing, and it's like they just fight it out and that's it. Now, they're like, you know what? Let's switch it up this year. All right, so we're gonna get a student from the Capitol, and we're gonna pair them up with each of the tributes. That way, you can kind of prepare them. It gives people more incentive to interact. You kind of have someone to root for. And so Snow gets paired up with Lucy Gray from District 12. Now Lucy's already a wild child. Like as soon as that she's introduced at her reaping, her name gets called, and she throws a snake down the dress of the mayor's daughter, and it's just wild. She starts singing. That's the big thing. Lucy Gray is a singer. Throughout the whole book, she's singing song after song. She has a personality on her. Now, President Snow gets paired up with Lucy Gray, and then the Senate for the mentors to want to win is that whoever wins this Hunger Games, if you're the mentor, you get a full ride scholarship to the university, and that's all what they're aiming for. They all, because Snow's broke right now. He's like, how am I even gonna pay for school? He hears this, he's like, all right, I gotta win. So what he does is he goes out of his way to help Lucy. Like when the tributes first arrive in the Capitol, he's the first one to greet them. Everyone else is supposed to meet them, the day of, when they're introduced in the classroom, wherever it is. But he goes ahead and meets them when they get dropped off from the train. And so he's like, yeah, Lucy, I got your back. I'm going to take care of you. And the guards, the whole time, they're like beating the tributes, like boom, like this. It's crazy. And Lucy's like, oh, good luck with that, trying to keep me safe. And he's like, damn, she's right. I gotta prove a point. So he's like, you know what? He goes up to the guards. I'm her mentor. Let me go with her to wherever you're taking her. I got it. He's like, all right, if you're sure. Boom, they load them all up in this cage, in this truck, and they start driving. And it gets crazy because the tribute's like, what the hell are you doing here? They about to kill him. And Lucy steps up like, nah, chill, because, well, what do you think they're going to do if you kill someone from the Capitol? She's, she's slick. She's sly with it. She plays it off. They leave him alone. And they drop everybody off at the zoo. Like, they literally just dump them on this monkey cage. There's no monkeys in it, but they throw him in the monkey cage. Corey, so he's all thrown for a loop. He got all his friends from school, not all his friends, but like there's a bunch of people that he knows outside, looking at the zoo, and they're like, what? Coriolanus, what you doing in there, And so he's about to freak out. He's like, what do I do? Do I run? Do I, hide? Lucy, comes up behind him and says, hey, own it. Like, hey, step up, like, handle it. So he's like, you know what, you're right. So he goes up, he grabs Lucy's hand, he's like, hey, everybody, I got a homegirl I want you to meet. This is Lucy Gray from District 12. He starts introducing her. He goes up right up to the window, and she starts talking to the kids, starts meet and greet, whatever. He played it all smooth, he tried to make it seem like he meant to be there. And obviously that gets him some points for the audience. So eventually peacekeepers come, they get rid of him, they say, hey, get out of here, move along. So the whole time they're in this monkey cage. He's over here helping her out because they ain't feeding the tributes either. So he's over here, he decides to bring her food. Then now the other mentors are like, uh-oh, well, you can't be doing more than us. So now they're starting to try to get along with their tributes. One of the interesting pairings was Sejanus and District 2, because Sejanus he's not really Snow's friend, because Snow doesn't think of him. Sejanus is going to be a key player in this book. Like him and Snow are like buddy, but Snow fake. He's like he don't claim Sejanus. Sejanus is like, yeah, Snow, you like my brother, bro. And then I'm gonna tell you more later, but Coriolanus definitely screws him over a lot. Like, it's crazy. You'd be surprised. So yeah, Sejanus is from District 2. Like he got rich and moved to the Capitol type thing, so he's still kind of an outsider. That's why Coriolanus kind of just looks down on him like, oh, you used to be District, you'll never be Capitol. But Sejanus thinks they homeboys the whole time anyways. We're getting more of that later. So now all the mentors are trying to get along with their tributes, whoop-de-whoop. And it's crazy because this one mentor, she tries, to give one of the tributes like a sandwich or something. And every time the tribute tries to get it, she moves it out the way, and everyone's laughing. They're like, ha, ha, ha. And then obviously the tribute's gonna get mad, so then she just she grabs like homegirl, like the one that gave him the sandwich. She had a knife on her, and the tribute reaches through the bars of the cage. Boom, grabs the knife and slits her throat, and it's like, ooh, all panic breaks loose. Crazy, you know. Obviously the peacekeepers gun her down. It's actually how a lot of the tributes die in this Hunger Games. It's before the Hunger Games. Even there's one part where I think they're walking through the arena with their tributes, and they're kind of showing them just what they're going to be dealing with, you know, kind of getting them prepared, giving them a little preview. And when they're walking through the stadium, some bombs go off. Now, they never tell you where the bombs came from. They're like, oh, maybe they've been there, maybe someone just put them. No one ever figures it out. The bombs were just kind of there. And so the stadium gets blown up. Some tributes make a run for it. Lucy actually ends up saving Coriolanus' life because he gets hit by like a broken beam or something. And so, like, the tributes that try to run off, obviously they get gunned down. Boom, boom. There's one dude, what's his name? Marcus, who was the one that Sejanus was paired with. Marcus from District 2. He escapes. Now he's loose in the city. I'm going to let you know what happens to him later, though, because it's wild. Now, after that, you know, now there's less tributes. You know, obviously Coriolanus is like, hey, this is good. You know, just crossing names off the list. Now she only got to deal with so and so. And so now I'm probably, you know, skimming over some parts. I'm just going over like main things I remembered about it. And so there's also the interviews. Now they can, you know, they can show off their tribute. They're like, hey, you know, this is me and my tribute. Woody woo. Obviously, Lucy Gray is gonna sing. She a singer, so that's what she does. She blows the crowd away, and I think they start adding betting and the food to the Hunger Games. They're like, hey, now I think Coriolanus suggested it because they're in class and like, hey, how can we increase viewership? And he's like, well, why not, you know, put some bets on it, you know? And then obviously they take the idea up and they start doing it. And they also got this thing where it's like, all right, you can get sponsors now, so you can send, you know, they give each mentor a wristwatch, and you know, the more sponsors you get, boop, 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 you can just send them food, you know, just like that. And obviously Lucy Gray being a singer, she gets a lot of sponsors. And so what happens over time is that what does happen? Either way, she gets a lot of sponsors. Lucy Gray is good, but obviously the Hunger Games be wild. Let me just briefly go back over this. So then, I'm just gonna skip to the arena. All right, so they in the arena. Like I said, I'm skimming over some parts. So if you still want to read the book, you can. Because even though I'm telling you all this, it's interesting to see how it builds up and how it goes down. You know, but they in the arena now. Boom, Hunger Games begin. Crazy. All the mentors are just at school watching, like, okay, what's gonna happen? At first, nothing happens at all, basically, because you know how the arena was bombed. So now it's not like a regular arena now. Instead of just having this open field where they gotta just go at it, now there's a bunch of like broken stuff that they can hide. Now they have access to the tunnels underneath the stadium. Half of them just hide it out. But here's the crazy part. I forgot to mention this. Before the Hunger Games even starts, you know that Marcus, the one that went loose in the city, he's just hanging from one of the football posts, and he's still alive, but he's boom. You can tell he's beat up. You know, like they trying to make an example out of it. Ooh, even crazier. Backtracking a little bit. That one girl, that's the tribute that slit the other girl's throat. So they have this big funeral for the girl, right? Honorary, you know, they're singing the national anthem, and they're like, this is what happens to tributes that, or people from the districts that disrespect us. They take the other girl, the one that they shot because she killed the girl, and they drag her body like through the whole district, you know, like someone's driving a car, I think her body's behind it, or something crazy like that. It's wild. So basically, yeah, no, the Capitol's ruthless towards the districts. They're not even treating them like people. They say, like I said, the whole time they hadn't even been feeding them. They look at them like animals, and basically, Coriolanus falls in love with Lucy. So he's conflicted because he's Capital, you know. He's like, what do I do? But either way, first things first, you got to help her survive, because none of that matters if he don't even help her, you know, live. So the whole time, Obviously, he was getting her sponsors. He was helping her out. The thing is, when they in the arena, you know, the food that they send comes in drones, right? You can't send a drone though, because you don't want the other people knowing where your person's at. You know, like you gotta be slick about it. Like if you have your tribute and she's hiding, and you send a drone, everyone's gonna know where your tribute's at after that. Anyways, it gets crazy. First death is homegirl, some obscure girl. She goes up to the football post, slits Marcus's throat, and in the whole game she's just chilling on the football post. And she has a few sponsors, so you know they get her some food, and then you know it slows down for a bit. Everyone's like, okay, this is getting boring. What do we do? Then Sejanus, when at night, you know, when there's nothing going on, everyone's like, okay, everyone's, you know, asleep, tuning out, they're not really watching it anymore. Sejanus sneaks into the arena to, like, I guess do some ceremony for Marcus or get his body out, whatever. And then one of the game makers is like, hey, we need to get Sejanus out of there. You're his homeboy. We need you to go in there. And Coriolanus is like, what? You crazy? Like, we ain't even that cool, you know? How am I gonna go in there like, hey, this is an order? like, do you even want that prize money? Because if you don't do this, even if you win, you ain't getting no prize. And he's like, wait, what? Capital's even ruthless to the own, I'm telling you. And so he goes in there. He's like, yo, Sejanus. No, he tells the peacekeepers before he goes in there. It's like, hey, you got my back, right? Like, if anything happens, you're gonna shoot these tributes, right? He's like, we'll do what we can. And you know, the peacekeepers laughing because they don't do anything. Like, Coriolanus goes in there to say this is Sejanus, and three of the tributes come running. They rush him, yo. They're coming after him. And so Sejanus and Coriolanus were trying to get Marcus's body out. They just drop it. They're like, nah, let's go. They run for the barricade, you know, and the whole time Coriolanus is like, why are they not shooting? Why are they gonna, you know, they need to start blasting at these fools. And they don't. So Coriolanus ends up beating one of them to death, and that's his first murder. You can see it's starting to change him, and he's like, well, it's self-defense. So he goes and he escapes, and this gets into a discussion with him and the game maker, she's talking about, what did you learn in the arena? And he's like, why did you do that on purpose, just so I could learn a lesson? She's like, probably, yeah. What'd you learn? He's like, well, people are animals, you know. They're ruthless. She's like, do you understand why we have the Hunger Games now? Like, can you kind of see why we do this? You can see people are naturally violent. You know, if we didn't have these Hunger Games, everywhere would be an arena. You know, so she's trying to make a point. You know, that his inner instinct is to be a killer. And you know, Coriolanus is conflicted because he just killed somebody. He's like, dang, is it true? You know, is it survival of the fittest out here? You know, he gets into this dilemma. And so the Hunger Games continues. You got those three tributes that had, you know, rushed him and Sejanus. They come out again to rush that chick on the pole. It's crazy, okay? They get one person on each side and one person on the middle throwing a spear at them. So it's wild, all right? So basically, it's crazy. Like I saw, it's the Hunger Games. You know, people dying left and right. It gets down to see, like I don't want to spoil it, but this is the spoiler part. You know what I mean? So like, Lucy wins. Lucy wins the Hunger Games. I ain't gonna tell you how. If you do end up wanting to read the book, if you're already ready, you already know how she wins. I felt like it could have been a little more. Actually, no. Look, key element I liked was the snake part. So look, check it out. They're like, dang, this Hunger Games is getting boring. Ain't nobody doing nothing. Let's throw some snakes in there. And it's like, what? And they're like mutated snakes. They're like extra snaky. But she becomes victorious. And Coriolanus is like, what? I just won? Okay. And then they're like, nah, boom, you cheated. And then obviously the game maker pulls out the handkerchief. Pulls out some other stuff, you know, that incriminated him. And she's like, you ain't getting no prize. You know what? You have two options. You can either go to jail or you can become a peacekeeper. I think she said jail, actually. She probably said something else. But basically, she makes him become a peacekeeper. And he's like, what? and he's just freaking out. Like his whole world's falling apart. So he's like, well, can I at least go to District 12? And they're like, all right, I guess. Obviously, that's where Lucy's at, because he's in love with her. He's crazy about her. That's why he risked so much to save her. Now he gets assigned to District 12. He finds Lucy. They fall in love. He gets jealous of her ex over there. It's wild, okay? Because this is where the story threw me off. Now, Sejanus, he obviously. Oh, I didn't even tell you. Sejanus goes too. I forgot how that happened though. I'm not sure why he got sent on. I think because it was a little whatever he did in the arena when he when he broke in there. I guess that was a punishment. I just read this book and I already kind of forgot. But Sejanus pulls up. He's in District 12 with him, and then Coriolanus is like, hey, you know what? At least it's somebody I know from the capital. So they're buddy again. And Sejanus is he goes out with them to go help him find Lucy. And obviously he gets cool with Lucy and her friends too. But he also gets cool with some of the rebels that are trying to overthrow the capital. And he starts buying them guns. And Sejanus is mixed up with these people. And Coriolanus finds out. And he's like, I gotta do something about this. So what he does, they start catching Mockingjays and Jabberjays. You know, if you remember them from the original series, Mockingjays can copy songs, Jabberjays can copy human speech. You know, so they're doing this project with Jabberjays and Mockingjays. So Coriolanus gets Sejanus's confession on one of the Jabberjays. Like he's talking to him about his plan. Like, yeah, bro, I've been buying these weapons with these people, but it's for a good cause. You know, we're trying to just help one of the prisoners. They're gonna escape. They're gonna go up north. They're not gonna hurt nobody. I'm gonna go with them, bro. You know, and Coriolanus doesn't say a word the whole time because secretly he pressed record on the Jabberjay, and he just stabs Sejanus in the back. You know, they thought they was brothers. Sejanus trusted him too much. You know, Snow is not a good person, and so. Like I said, this last chapter builds up so slowly and everything kind of just happens at the very end. So like, it's just kind of talking about his daily life as a peacekeeper, him waking up, you know, they getting drunk, they go do target practice. It's kind of slow build up. You know, it talks about him, you know, meeting up with Lucy, they have a little romantic date, you know, they're in love, woody woo. Like I said, it doesn't really build up into this whole thing with Sejanus. Like the whole time is just talking about them going out to the hub to hear Lucy sing. And towards the end though, it gets crazy. Because like I said, the whole Sejanus thing happens. And then Coriolanus is getting mixed in with it, right? So, okay. So he's at the show one night. And he's like, I know Sejanus is doing some shady stuff. Let me keep my eyes on him. And so, at one of the shows, and watching Lucy sing at the hub, Sejanus sneaks out. He goes to the shed, and he's like, all right, I'm gonna go follow him. So he goes to see what's up, and that's when he finds the bag of guns and Lucy's ex, and they're all there, you know, with the guns or whatever. And Lucy comes out to her to follow Coriolanus. And it's like, yeah, I saw you sneak out. And he's like, oh, wait, what? And then she walks in and like she's like speechless. Like she's mid-sentence. She's like, I saw you walk out. And then, yeah, and she sees the guns and like, and there's another dude there too, there's a third guy. And he's like, who are these people? And Sejanus is like, hey, he's with me. And Lucy's ex is like, nah, she's with me. They're cool. And then, so they get back to business, you know, they're talking about the plan. And the mayor's daughter from way back, she's over there too, and she's overhearing because her and Lucy's ex got a thing going on, like, yeah. So mayor's daughter pulls up. She's like, haha, I'm about to snitch on all of you. So instinctively, I think Lucy's ex fired a shot at her and missed. Coriolanus out of nowhere picks up a gun, boom, shoots her, kills her, dead. His second murder. So his fingerprints are on the weapons, right? So the peacekeepers, after that shot goes off, they hightail it out of there. You know, they're like, we gotta go. That's the mayor's daughter. You know, they make a clean escape. Lucy performing was her alibi. You know, her being at the show, like, hey, you know, she's been at the show the whole time. Coriolanus and Sejanus were with the other peacekeepers, so and then they were drunk, so they don't remember. So like, yeah, no, they were with us the whole time. The type of, so they got a strong alibi. But the peacekeepers have the guns, or Coriolanus thinks so. I'll tell you what happens in a little bit. So he's like, dang, you know, they got evidence. You know, he snitched out Sejanus, you know, on the bird, on the Jabberjay. He never gave it to nobody though. He's kind of hoping nobody hears it. But then he's like, dang, if they hear it and then they find my fingerprints on the guns, I could go away too. So he's freaking out. And so he tells Lucy, yeah, you know what? Let's run away together. Let's go. Let's go up north. And Lucy's like, for real? Let's do that, you know? I don't know why she'd be falling for him. Oh, it's toxic. Their relationship is toxic because Coriolanus is like real possessive, jealous, kind of manipulative. Lucy Gray's is trusting, you know. She I don't know what she sees in him. She deserved better. Because he's like, let's run away together, right? And while they're running away, the night before they run away, he's at the base, and it turns out they did get the message about Sejanus. Sejanus gets hanged, dead, murdered because of Coriolanus. That's why he's not a good person. Look, so that's his third murder, right? So Sejanus gets killed, and they're like, "Thank you for the tip. You know, it must have been a difficult decision. Tomorrow you head to officer school in District 2." And he's like, "What? I gotta go to officer school?" Woo. They're like, "Yeah, tomorrow you get the day off. After that, you know, hovercraft's gonna come get you." And he's like, "Okay." But he still thinks about those weapons that has his fingerprints on them. He's like, man, what if I go to officer school, they find the weapons, and then boom, I get killed too. So I'm not even gonna risk it. I'm still gonna run away with Lucy. So he goes to meet her up. They go to the first stop, and she's like, let's go to the lake for a little bit. You know, just before we head up north, let's just have one last day for ourselves. They go to the lake, it starts raining. So they go to the lake house. So you know, it's a little shed that's close to the lake where, you know, Lucy goes to like warm up. He's like, uh-oh, I found the weapons. And so he finds the weapons, he's looking through them, and then Lucy's like, I don't think we're gonna be able to carry all those guns, but you know, we could take this knife. So, and she's like, you know what, I'm gonna go use this knife, I'm gonna go cut some plants up real quick. And he's like, alright, you know. Then he starts realizing if he gets rid of the weapons, he can go to officer school. You know, there's just no evidence that he had any involvement in what Sejanus was doing. And he's like, no evidence but Lucy. And then this is where the book gave me whiplash. Because now he's going to go murder Lucy. What? Right? Like, how is he in love with her the whole time? They're about to run away together. And now he about to kill her. And she realized that too. Because that's why she took off. Because she takes off with the knife. She thinks he's going to go cut up some plants. She never comes back. And so he goes to hunt her down. And he's gonna go try to kill her. She's smart though. I like this girl because you know how like the Mockingjays can copy songs, and she's a singer. Tell me why she starts singing. He's like, oh, I found her. Then all the Mockingjays start singing the same song. He's like, oh, what? All confused, so confused. He starts just shooting everywhere. He never knows if he hit her or not. He don't know. He wants to believe he did. We never find out what happens to Lucy. She just disappears. Right after that last encounter, she just disappears. Which goes back to the song they had in the story. Because in the story, you know, because she's a singer, they have like little sections of stanzas of songs, you know, that she's singing. And there's this one song about a song dedicated to her. It's her song about this girl that was on a bridge, and suddenly the footprints just stop. She disappears, you know. And it's kind of like foreshadowing what happened to her, because you know she just no one knows what happens to her. It's a mystery. And so, anyways, Coriolanus goes back. He's like, all right, you know what? I'm just gonna be done with it. She's probably gone. She ain't gonna last too long. He drops the weapons in the lake. He's like, they ain't gonna look for these. You know, I'm woody woo. My hands are clean. Goes back to the base. Goes to officer school, or he thinks he's going to officer school, because now he's on the train and it's going straight to the Capitol, and then the game maker's like, nah, you're not going to officer school, actually, you're going to work with me. And you're going to help me come up with the Hunger Games. or how to make him better. So he becomes like the game maker's assistant, and there's this brief talk that he has with, I think, the dean. That he's always hated. The dean and him have had it out for each other, and the dean knew his father, and he said the reason why the dean doesn't like Coriolanus is because his father stabbed him in the back. So what happened? This is how the Hunger Games got started, which is trips me out because it's so like simple. So their assignment for school was, how do we win this war, or what can we do to keep the districts complacent? And the dean writes up the Hunger Games. He's drunk though. Like him and Coriolanus' dad both get drunk one night, and they're like, you know what? I'm gonna write it up. I'm gonna do it. Let's make this up. He details the whole Hunger Games and all the idea. He's drunk though. Boom, passes out, falls asleep, and Snow's dad turns it in to the school. Boom, that's how the Hunger Games was born. And the dean has been on drugs ever since. He got like little morphine drops. He just always. And then Snow, back to regular Snow, Coriolanus, he poisons the dean, which was, I'm like, what? He kills him in the end. Last line is, Snow always falls on top, like all dramatic, But that ending is just weird because it all happens in the last few pages. Like everything I just explained to you, even though it sounded all condensed, is literally how it felt. Like, it's weird. Like, why would he shoot Lucy? Why? That makes no sense. He was in love with her, and then he's just not. Like, okay. And then, and then Sejanus's parents adopt him because, like, you were his bro, you were his brother, you probably took care of him. You lost your parents because Coriolanus doesn't have his parents. His dad, I think, both his parents died. He was living with his grandma the whole time. So he's like, you have no parents, we have no son. Come on, you're an honorary Plinth, I think was his last name, Sejanus Plinth. So Sejanus' parents adopt him and just give him all this money and take care of him. I'm like, what? Why? After he betrayed Sejanus, like, okay, yeah, I'm heated. Okay, like, why? Ridiculous. And then he doesn't even go to officer school. Like, they just, okay, never mind on that part, He just goes to be a game maker. Like, what? Okay, so it just seemed very convenient. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I feel like Suzanne Collins had a bunch of different ideas and directions she wanted to go towards the end, but kind of got conflicted and said, you know what, we're gonna do this. I feel like that's how she wrapped up the story. Like, I don't know. I just kind of rushed to finish it because it is like what, 500 pages. That's longer than the other books, I think. And like I said, the last section didn't have to be that long. Like I said, there was a lot of build up for like all this climax to be at once. So she could have spaced some of it out. I don't know. It was confusing. It was a confusing ending. So overall, it's a good book. The ending will throw you off. Other than that, though, I'd recommend it.